Wow, this is pretty interesting. And so I want to dive into the latest news. You can see here, they've got the shard system that's being introduced in tonight's patch. If you're watching this on Wednesday or after, the system is already in place. But I want to give you guys my thoughts because I've had some major critiques about some of the core weaknesses that New World has. And this system in and of itself is the initial start of some major changes that are going to be rolling out to the game. This is before even June the 7th, and we've all been waiting so incredibly long for any kind of news, and the devs have finally confirmed that this 7th, this Friday, at Summer Games Fest, these plans will be revealed. Now, there is so much speculation. I've made my predictions around console support, and I think that's really what we're going to see. And in relation with sharding and maybe even a fresh start server event, we will see what the overall impact on New World it has, and we'll have some real data and some real good insight going into it. It's going to be a fun week. So hello everyone, and welcome to another New World video. It's been quiet. It's been quiet around here, and I honestly think that's because there really isn't much to talk about. Amazon, when it comes down to New World, Throne of Liberty, Blue Protocol, insert any number of games, things have absolutely been on the quiet end. And this is why I think today's news is so interesting and so important. And I want to weigh in with my thoughts, because if you guys have been following the content and the channel for any period of time, you know that one of the major problems that New World has is waiting in queues. And that is only accompanied by a time when people really want to play the game. Outside of those hype cycles, you end up just having people not having to wait in queues and then you have some server retractions. Now, we've seen them go in and make cross-server stuff available, which has, I think, helped out the community and in its dwindling size during this period of just no real major content updates and a lot of quiet, or a lot of "we'll tell you in June" kind of messaging. With that is obviously seeing the decline in the population. That's why I think sharding is such an important thing. It shows a lot of confidence that the devs think that they can get players back, but this will potentially solve the problem when players do come into the game. I've told this story a number of times where, like, as the expansion rolled out and all the excitement was there, I didn't really feel like waiting in line, and I have proposed many ideas like, let me guest on a server, just let me into the game and let me play. It doesn't even need to be on my server. I just don't want to sit and look at a number counting down with some expectation that I'm going to be able to play the game. It's 2024 now at the time of this recording, 2023 fall, and that system is something that I just don't think a lot of people have a lot of patience for anymore, because there's also just so many other really great experiences and games that you can play. And that's actually what I chose to do, rather than just mainline No Rest for the Wicked. I love that game. Rather than just mainline Rise of the Angry Earth, I just decided to step away until the queue times settle down. That does mean you miss out on the excitement and the hype, and that's why I think shards are so interesting and important. Let's go over what they actually are talking about, and that way we can explore this together with the information. I'd love to hear your thoughts about like this change. Personally, I'm very excited for it, and I think it does signal that we're going to eventually get to a world or a gameplay where the servers just kind of handle themselves in the back end and the players are just allowed to play. Now, that's going to obviously have some gameplay implications and some changes that this also is then hinting at. And who knows if we'll see that here in June, but I know I, for one, am very excited. Shards, we're excited to introduce Shards, a new server technology coming to New World. Shards are duplicated segments of the game world designated to better manage player populations. Each region or zone within the game has population limits. By seemingly duplicating these segments into new instances, we can accommodate more players in the same space without affecting game performance or the user experience. You won't encounter loading screens when moving in through the shardless areas, and it will typically be unaware that the shard is present. And if you guys recall back to when they were talking about this game originally, they do have, and they did state a goal to be able to get like 10,000 players on a server. I do think this is going to help them move in that direction. And when we talk about 10,000, why not 100,000? Like, And what that means is that you're going to see some, I think, interesting system balances down the road, but we'll speculate on that here in a minute. For the initial rollout, they're going to only be implementing it for the beaches and settlements of Monarch's Bluff and Windsward. This will also help accommodate new players to reduce queue times based on technical performance and player feedback. We may expand shards to other regions of a tournament in the future. I would say that it is almost, if they do plan on obviously increasing player population, it will make sense to bring these out to different zones. But I do think a slow rollout makes the most sense, because you don't end up wanting to have connection issues. Now, we'll see if this goes over well tomorrow. I'll be sure to test it out and see how I feel with the sharding system. So the impact on gameplay, they say we aim for seamless gameplay whether you're on a shard or not, and here's how shards will work. For social connections, groups are going to be prioritized to stay together on the same shard as long as there's capacity. Solo players are going to be paired with friends or company members in the same shard whenever possible, and joining others to join someone in a different shard, just be in the same area and select join shard from the social menu. It seems very WoW-like. I also am getting Guild Wars 2 vibes, which, if anything, Guild Wars 2 tends to be one of the great things to model, and I think would be a benefit to New World because of how amazing its open world can be. You want to fill people in. You want to keep those things populated. You want things happening, and this will also relate to PvP. Social interactions for area chat limited to players within the same shard, while global chat is going to remain unchanged. Proximity actions, activities like trading, music, and dueling require all participants to be in the same shard. For PvP, dedicated PvP shard, each area has a single shard for PvP to ensure fair play. PvP flagging players flag for PvP, and non-PvP shards can transfer to the PvP shard. I wonder if we'll see that happen automatically, because it would seem, because you can right now only flag in a city, and so when it comes down to the shard in and of itself, you running in, I don't know if this is kind of them hinting that you might be able to turn on and off PvP, and maybe if you're on the PvP shard, you have to leave back to town or something. I really am interested to see if that means those kind of changes down the road. For the initial implementation, sharding will be limited to Monarch's Bluffs and Windsward initially. Expansion to other zones will be dependent on feedback and performance. I do think this will also have a interesting impact on the race, the the whole influence race that happens, because I know people have talked about that, and that performance could end up being a huge impact. For camps, camp locations will remain in the shards that they were placed. For calling to a camp, if you recall to your camp location without being forced into it, its shard shutdowns. If a shard with your camp is shut down, the camp will be removed and you will be notified. So they have more information on shards and other changes with the patch that we're just not going to dive into, but I'll include a link, guys, if you want to go check it out for yourself. All that being said, I think this is another signal to where they're going. We know they're coming to console. Why do we know they're coming to console? They announced Lord of the Rings is coming to console, and they announced that this engine is the engine that they're building Lord of the Rings in, and so they are investing in New World because that's going to impact their long-term play with the next MMO, which I would not expect anytime in the near future. Be thinking late 20 decade, like 2028, maybe into the 2030s, and they're going to invest and continue to invest in New World to make it the best that it can be, so that the next game they can make it even better, because nostalgia is going to be a hell of a drug, and Lord of the Rings for a new whole new generation of players, but also for that visual and audio, like just what I cannot wait to see what Lord of the Rings looks like in this engine and by this team, and I really hope that they knock that one out of the park. But all of that being said, is that the sharding system helps address the main issue that people have when they're excited to play, and hopefully this means that they can actually play the game. Now from there, when you think about territory control and all the various different balancing issues, etc., that's going to be something that is going to, I think, see an evolution as well. I do hope that we get to see kind of mock wars and different systems like that, because there are people who want to participate in various things, and to obviously bring that into kind of a gameplay activity element will be a real boon to those various different elements, but you need player population, and thus you're going to be picking up the console player base. And I think that's going to help with maybe a fresh start server approach to getting people excited. Now, we know that June the 7th is the announcement date. We do know that the next technical season should be coming that launches off for the summer, and we see the summer events return. Right now, Rabbids Revenge is going to be going on. If you're watching this on Wednesday, if you're not, it's kicking off tomorrow. And that is I've always enjoyed kind of farming the rabbits. In the case, I like just randomly, RNG kind of events, but I know that's they've made some good adjustments that people have been happy about. Anyhow, I'm just really excited. Hopefully you guys are excited as I am. I'm really looking forward to seeing what the team does. We've been in the dark. It has been absolutely frustrating to be in the dark for this long, and only to be told that they're going to tell us. In fact, I even called that out when we watched the last update where they just bleeped out things, and it's like they completely were tone deaf. And yes, if you want to go and defend it and you thought it was funny, that's great. I'm not saying you're wrong, but overall in general, it's like you have a hungry player base who really wants the game to succeed, who wants content to enjoy, and who wants these systems to be in place, and they're still waiting. They're kind of in this holding pattern. So with the fresh start server, and that means marketing, and that means obviously with console marketing, and June 7th, it's going to be right around the corner. Hopefully, if you want, you can come hang out with me live. We'll be talking about it, and then any thoughts, reactions, and more we'll obviously post here on the channel. Thank you guys so much for joining me in this video where I talk to the camera and read a couple things on the news site. Anyway, guys, I wish you all the very best. Hopefully, we will talk more very soon. But until then, take care.